Hello, everyone. How are you? I am Chrisnatha. I am the masterpiece maven herself, executive coach, corporate trainer, journalist, and keynote speaker. How are you, everybody? So good to be back with you again. And today we're going to be talking about something that I think a lot of people are trying to figure out. So come on in the room, join me, and let's chat a little bit today. Welcome back, everyone. And for those of you that it is your first time, welcome, welcome, and welcome. So great to meet you. So let's just jump into it. So we're talking about work-life balance. Work-life balance. How in the heck do we do this thing? Okay. So a lot of you have heard this phrase shared so many times across so many different platforms. Work life balance, it's important. How do we do it? Is it actually possible? And I want to talk to you about this as well. So, what we're going to be talking about today is work life balance. How do we do this? Can we do this? What are the first steps that we take in working toward getting some type of balance in our schedule, in our daily routines? And so let's talk about it. So, like many Americans, like many adults, like many people across the nation, there is just so much emphasis on being productive, right? Which is definitely not a bad thing, right? There's a lot of emphasis and focus on being productive, making sure that you are getting things done, you are working, you are meeting these goals, you are checking things off your to-do list, you are making things happen. You are a mover, you are a shaker, you get things done. That is a good thing. All right. So let's just start there. That's really, really good. However, usually when it comes to our careers, our work, and then our family, it's usually one has to, I don't want to use the word suffer, but one usually will get more attention. And a lot of us spend most of our days working. And then you have to try to see how much of myself do I have left? How much energy do I have left? And how much of that am I able to, willing, or going to give to my family? And work life balance, your family can look like you personally, you having time to sit down and do dinner. And let's be honest, if you're working virtually, a lot of times you're working more. Let me explain. You live where you work, right? So if you're working virtually right now, you live where you work. You work where you live. And a lot of times you may wake up and start working a lot earlier than you would if you were going to the office, and end up working a lot later than you would if you were at the office, because at the office you may leave at 5, leave at 5:30, 6 o'clock, 7. Whereas if you're home and you feel like there's nothing else to do, or maybe I can get a head start for the next day or the next week, you end up working a lot more. And so you want to make sure that there's some balance. If you are working virtually, I want to first encourage you to make sure that you have a designated space for you to work, right? That you have a designated office or space in your home that is designated for work. And once you get up from that area and move away from that area, there's no more work. Meaning your laptop stays there, your work phone stays there, right? Your reports, your notes stays at that area, at that desk, in that office. And I think that's going to start to create what I like to call boundaries. And boundaries is something that I think we want to make sure that we kind of touch on first. Setting boundaries. What are the boundaries that you have set for work and for home? And have you set any boundaries? And if you haven't, what are some thoughts you have about setting boundaries? Because I think that's going to be extremely important. Set some boundaries. It doesn't mean that if there's a project due that you can't take a moment and answer an email after hours. You may need to. It might be time sensitive, right? So you're going to have to use discretion on how you set those boundaries and when you are a little more relaxed or more stern. So that's something that you're going to have to discern which situation is going to be helpful for me. For instance, I was talking to a friend recently, and she just got a new position, which she's excited about, a little bit more responsibility. But one thing that she did make sure that she did was that she did not add her business email, her work email, to her cell phone. She purposely did not add her work email to her cell phone. I thought this was genius. This was brilliant. And it is an example of setting a boundary. Now, why did she do that? Because she knew that if her work email was on her phone, it was easier for her to constantly check it and then feel as though she's obligated to reply or to respond or to do something after hours because she's read an email, right? And so though she's working remotely, she's very diligent about keeping that separate, which I think is great. I think it's awesome. So she checks her emails when it's time to be done with work. She's done with work, right? And she can move to a different part of her home and start to now spend time with herself, go have dinner, or do something else. And so that is just one example of setting a boundary. But setting a boundary, what's important to you? Think about your priorities. If your weekends are for family, then your weekends are for family. Your family needs your resources. They need your resources to do things, to pay for the bills to be paid, and have all the things that they need, right? Of course, they also need your time. We know you're working hard. We're working hard to provide, to make sure everything's in place, and that's important. But your family also needs your time. And then when they get your time, they need quality time. They need uninterrupted time. So there's going to be moments where you have to put your phone away. Listen, if this if you agree, say amen, and if I'm making you uncomfortable, say ouch. Okay, and that just might mean I'm talking to you, right? But they need not just your time, but quality time. And so you're going to have to make a decision. Can it wait? Most likely it can, right? Unless you're like a brain surgeon. But other than that, it can most likely wait. And so give your family time and give them uninterrupted quality time. So set those boundaries. Another thing is to plan and do things in advance. I think one thing that's going to help with work is as much planning as possible that you can do. It's going to help you, right? So that you're not overwhelmed. And so maybe you don't have to work as late on a specific day because you've prepared at the beginning of the week and anticipated some things. We know that things happen that we cannot anticipate, but for the things that we do know that are coming up, the things that are on the calendar, we can prepare. If we need to outsource, if we need to get some extra help, go ahead and do that. Be diligent, be intentional about your success in your work. And in that same spirit, I also want you to be diligent and intentional about your success at home. Sometimes we can put so much energy, so much focus, um, so much, what's the word I'm looking for? So much focus, so much thought into making sure that we are successful in work. That's good. We want to make sure that we are also being intentional, that we are successful at love, successful at family, successful at balance, successful with our relationships outside of the workplace as well, because those are just important, if not more, right? You could possibly change careers. You could possibly go into a new industry in terms of work, but family is family. And so it's all about priorities. It's all about priorities. And it's not about perfection, it's about progress. And so you can just take a moment, look at your own setup, your own situation, the way that your household operates, the way that your work flows, and see what area in which can I start to make some changes. It's not about feeling bad, it's about recognizing areas of opportunity for me to grow, for me to be better, for me to improve, and for me to be intentional, for me to take action. It's not too late. There's always an opportunity. So take the opportunity to be better. Okay. I also want you to find a number two and a number three person, especially for work. What does that mean? You cannot be the only go to. if you were not there, if you were ill, if an emergency happens and you have to leave the office, right? Who is the next person in charge? Who is the next person in command? That needs to be clear for you, your team, and everyone needs to know what that looks like. So they know if you are not available, I can now reach out to this person. If this person isn't available, I need to make sure I'm also CCing this person on my emails, right? Because there needs to be support, a backup. That's what a true strong team looks like. You cannot be a one man or a one woman show because you are human and things happen. And sometimes you just need a day off, right? But work doesn't stop. So you need someone else that can be able to take over, that has an idea of what's going on, how to move forward, and that can be your point person. Another thing I want you to do is to take time for yourself. Take time for yourself. A lot of times, if you're super ambitious, you want to be the best. You want to make sure that you're doing more than everyone else. It's okay sometimes to pull back a bit. What does that mean? Do what's required of you. If you need a moment, take a moment. You are human. Yes, the work that you do is significant. Yes, it's important. Yes, it provides the lifestyle for you and the people that you love. But beyond all of the stuff, you are important. Okay. And so we want to make sure that you're taking care of yourself. So set those boundaries, make time, quality, uninterrupted time for the people that you love, right? And have support in terms of your team, your career, your work. There needs to be more people than just you. So that way there's a balance. Now, this balance will never be perfect. There's going to be moments in work where your work is going to get a little bit more attention than family. You might be working on a huge project, and there may be a week where you're not spending as much family time. But the important thing is that you communicate this to your family ahead of time so that their expectations are realistic for you during that time that you have to give work more attention. And there's going to be moments where your family needs more attention than work. So that might look like a vacation, a couple days off, and you have to communicate that you are out of the office, right? You're out of the office reply, but that you are out of the office and you are not available. You are off limits. You are not available for the emails. You're going to get back to people after this date, but here's someone that's going to be handling things while you're gone. So once again, creating that boundary and being clear about it, right? And so we want to make sure that we do our best and we make shifts and changes that are going to serve the work that we do, right? Because it's important, it's significant, but that we also honor the people in our lives that we love so much. So hopefully that was helpful for you to start making some adjustments in your work and in your life so that there could be a work-life balance. All right, guys. And so that's what I wanted to share with you today. Start doing small changes to make sure that there's work and there's family, and we could try to balance this thing out. All right, guys. So that's all I have for you today. I am Chrisnatha signing off until next time. Have an incredible day and be well.